Sure.
So recently I was watching Elon Musk's Neuralink
Oh yeah,
presentation,
I've heard
and
about this.
I kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Okay. That is technology in the body. I'm not for. I'm sorry. You know, I believe that the human body is a temple, and should remain inviolable. And I don't believe in interfacing directly with technology and the physiology. Like, okay, look, you need a hip replacement. That's different. Okay, for trauma like that. There's going to be medical technology that we may need to repair certain damaged aspects of us. You start getting into direct human brain links with computers, that's where I'm out. You know, yeah, how about we
Yeah,
exercise our brains and really use them to their full potential before we try to start linking them directly into computers through threads? And he's not talking about fiber optic. He actually used the term threads, neural threads. I mean, this smacks of stuff like Morgellons. You know, this is bioweaponry. You know, and I'm a technologist. I think that people need to learn technology and subdue technology to make it their master, to make it their servant. I'm sorry. Technology should never become the master of people. And that's where we're headed in this society. We're headed, again, I said earlier in the show, the ruling class, the real occultists that are behind the scenes of power are technocratic occultocracy. They are technocratic sorcerers that comprise an occultocracy, a ruling class of occultists in our society. That's who we are ultimately ruled by. They want this type of bioweaponry and biointegration of technology into the human physiology. Why? Because they're not looking at using this as actual human enhancement technology. They're using it as using a control over people, to using it to control them. That's what they're doing with it. They want this interface embedded in the human brain, so when somebody's not thinking the way they want them to think, they can influence that technology to make you think how they want you to think, and therefore behave how they want you to behave. That's the danger
yeah,
in stuff like that.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Seems
these
like this is going to be the, sorry, excuse me.
no,
This
no,
is
go ahead.
going to be like the peak of the epidysgenics program. I mean, if they implement something into your brain and they're going to have like a Bluetooth device attached to your ear so it connects. I mean, first of all, just thinking about the constant, you know, electromagnetic frequencies that are going to be passing through your brain and
That's
everything,
right.
which can also cause a lot of neurological issues. But just the fact that they can control the data that's going through and passing through that
That's right.
through I don't know, I guess some kind of server. It's almost mind-boggling
They
that
even
people could actually chant for this.
That's right. They even mentioned in that press conference that there's this danger of it sort of being hacked and, being able to put certain information through it,
What was that,
that would
Mark?
be
You
unwanted.
just kind of cut out a little bit.
Yeah, I said that they even mentioned in that press conference that they held that, it could potentially be hacked and people could possibly put information unwanted that the person would not want through into the human brain. It's like they even recognize that potentiality could be available, and they were talking about having to make it secure. So, this is the whole agenda of the social engineers at the highest level of the dark occult. They want to take things in the transhumanist direction and actually interface humanity with technology, because they see themselves as the technocratic sorcerers that are ultimately going to be in the long-term control of that technology. And that is the method that they long-term want to control people through.
Exactly. Um, Also, just how do you feel about Elon Musk in general? Because in the beginning, it did seem as though he did want to try and better humanity, kind of like with Steve Jobs, where he had seemed like he had great intentions and wanted to help people and humanity in general. But it almost seems as though he kind of got hijacked somewhere
Yeah.
along the lines, and
It's
was
uh
being influenced in the shadows.
it's it's somewhat complicated. He's somewhat of an enigma in some ways, and I don't have a final, take on him. But I don't really trust the, direction he wants certain things taken. There is that aspect where he does want to like kind of change the way we do certain things technologically for the better. But then there's that other aspect where there's this transhumanist aspect, and then there's this possibility that people like that just get co-opted and corrupted and get made offers, and offers of wealth, and offers of power, and they're human and flawed, and they don't have this kind of knowledge. They haven't been involved in deep layers of the occult world and studied it to this extent, like what I try to put forward here on What on Earth is Happening. So there's a certain lack of knowledge and information regarding who's really running the world. And then they see it from their limited perspective level, and they go like, well, I'll partner with this person, or I'll go with this agenda or program, and they become useful dupes in that aspect. And I'm not saying that's definitively the case with Musk, but I would be very slow to trust any aspect of really what's coming out of him and what he's doing. I would not just jump on board with it. Not saying he's definitively one of these, globalist evil individuals, but it's easy to get ramped up in that. It's easy to get tied up in that. Look at what Apple became. What, you think like Steve Wozniak is some evil globalist? I mean, this guy was a tinkerer in his garage with early technology. He had pure intentions. Jobs took it, totally turned it into a business and was all about the money aspect of it. And then, they called him the spin doctor because he could sell anything and make people think it's the greatest thing in the world. When in fact, it's, not as really innovative or groundbreaking as he's claiming things to be. And, then Apple went, when Jobs got cancer, like I talked about this in past shows and did like a whole psychological workup on the guy. He went off. He lost his mind. He went into a very dark place, could not deal with the potential of his own death, and started really becoming a bad control freak. And what Tim Cook has done with the company, he initially wasn't even his own man. He was just following like the letter of the law of Steve Jobs from the grave, trying to just do the same things the same way he was doing it. And now he's just become even more of a control freak than Jobs even ever was, because, he got in bed with the higher level, technocrats out in Silicon Valley, and just started trying to interject his own agenda into everything. And he's definitely in with these high-level globalists. And I think the same could be true of Musk, but I'm reserving my judgment on that to say that it's definitively the case. With someone like Cook, I mean, that's the stuff that is coming out of Apple is pure evil. Pure evil, And the same with Google, and the same with YouTube, and the same with Facebook. Facebook is pure evil. I'm saying that right on their platform. Pure evil at the highest levels. The kind of data collection they're doing and the kind of censorship they're involved in. Satanic evil. Okay? Apple, Google, and Facebook. I think Twitter's almost right up there with them. I'm not necessarily going to put them in the same category as that unholy trinity, but, they're almost right at that level. And, I'll reserve judgment on Musk and Tesla for now and say, be wary. Let's put it that way. But with this neural interface, that's not good news. That's bad news. That can only, at the level of spiritual development humanity is at, that can only be a disaster. That can only be a long-term disaster. Human beings should not be messing with things like that in the human neurophysiology at all. That's my take on transhumanism.